right, welcome everybody. Today is January 11th, and today is our 7th gate activation, the activation of the root chakra as a part of the Gemini goddess Morning Star descent journey. Today's activation, which happens to be the very same day as this class, is at 4 degrees of Capricorn. So let's look at our agenda here. Got a lot that we're going to go over today. We're going to open sacred space. We're going to look at all of the cosmic creative energies that are happening, unfolding this month. We're going to look at the heavens and see what's going on with planets in terms of how they're retrograding, maybe going direct, returning to that retrograde position that where the new moon and the full moon is happening. We're going to do some closure around the 6th gate, which is the sacral chakra. Last month, we started this new piece about the goddess Juno, the goddess of sacred relationship, and how very palpably present she has been engaged every step of the way through this descent journey. So we'll look at that again and see what she's doing this month with us. We'll talk about the gate of manifestation, which is the gate that is this 7th gate activation. The root chakra, we'll talk about that. Again, that's the chakra that's being activated. We'll take a look at the aspects, the astrological aspects, the chart, what those aspects look like on the chart, and some of the shamanic medicine related to those aspects. We're going to go over the cosmic dance. This is an overview for the entire year 2021. These are large, energetic frequencies, themes that are the umbrella for this journey this year. And so, every month we just want to remain cognizant of their influence that's behind the scenes while we're tuning in and focusing on the specific gate activations. We'll talk about our vision questing opportunities at this particular gate activation. We'll see when the next support group is for our class. When the next classes are in February. And then this month, I've got some really exciting updates about the program that I want to share with you, and questions and answers. And of course, goes without saying, at any point when there's questions and answers, feel free to chime in. But we always have that last space available for anything else that's coming up, desiring to be seen, desiring to be heard, desiring to be acknowledged. So, ready to dive in? Great. Okay, so this month's gate activation is actually a stellium. And that astrological term stellium means that, there's 4 or 5 luminary bodies in the same place or very closely aligned with each other in the same space in the sky. And Sekhmet is one of those luminary bodies that's a part of the gate activation in the stellium at that gate activation. So we're going to do an invocation to her. I have dubbed Sekhmet the goddess of equity and atonement. This book here, which I'll bring to your attention, The Heart of the Sun, this is a compendium that's been compiled by Candace Kant and Ann Key. They are in the priestess lineage. They put this together. In this book are the quarter calls for Sekhmet that I love and use whenever I'm doing ceremony. And so if you're not familiar with Sekhmet and want to get to know her, or if you absolutely love Sekhmet, this is really a great book to add to your library. And then this right here is a Sekhmet goddess temple that is in the desert about an hour north of Las Vegas, Nevada. And I've actually been there. It's spectacular. And this lady, Genevieve Vaughn, is the lady that founded this temple. And there's a really beautiful story about her journey to Egypt, her connection with Sekhmet there, a vow that she made to Sekhmet, and her request, her prayer to Sekhmet. And when that was granted to her, she kept that vow and she built this temple. And so if you ever have the opportunity to go to that temple, it's absolutely magnificent. And here is the link for that temple where you can go there and read about Genevieve's story and learn more about the temple. So go ahead and get your space ready. I am turning on my candle. If you have sprays or incense or smudge, whatever you need to do to prepare your space, go ahead and do that now. And then, Carrie, I am going to invite you to read the invocation for us.
Oh, you can move them. Okay.
Yeah, I
We
can
can read it.
That was Gary, you said, right?
I said Carrie.
It sounded like Leela because she does such a good job. Okay, I'll
She
give it a
does,
shot.
doesn't she?
All right, invocation of Sekhmet, goddess of equity and atonement. Behold, I smell the earth before the mighty one. Behold how I have kept the vigil in the shrine of Sekhmet. Behold, I am the child of Sekhmet, the lady of the east. I am with her. I am one with her. I am Sekhmet, and the flames of all those who praise her. I am the hand of the powerful goddess, wearer of the solar disk. I am the twice beautiful one, more splendid than yesterday. I am she who goes forth with Ra. I am she. My hair is the hair of Sekhmet, the golden one. My eyes are the eyes of the lioness. My ears are the ears of the goddess. My nose is the nose of she who can sniff out all evil. My teeth are the fangs which can devour the darkness. My neck is the neck of the divine goddess. My hands are the hands with long claws. My forearms are the forearms of the mighty one. My backbone is golden and it shines with splendor. My chest is the chest of the mighty one of terror. My belly and back are the belly and back of Sekhmet. My buttocks are strong as the goddess. My hips and legs are the hips and legs of the goddess. My feet are the clawed feet of the lion goddess. There is no part of me that is not of the goddess. I am Sekhmet, who cometh forth in the dawn. I am the power of Ra by day. I shall not be dragged back by my arms, and none shall lay violent hands upon me, lest I destroy them utterly. Neither man nor God shall hurt me, nor shall the living, nor shall the holy dead detain me, nor shall the demons destroy me in battle, for I am Sekhmet. And I shall eat off their faces. I am she who cometh forth. I am yesterday, and I am the seer of millions of years. I am the power of the divine judge. I dwell in the east. I am the lady of eternity, the unveiled one. My name is created to defy all evil. I am the flame that shineth in the sanctuary. I am Sekhmet. Unknown.
Whew. I don't know about the rest of you, but I mean, she is here with me and the energy of her is just pouring over me. Whew. Wow, that was spectacular. Thank you, Carrie. Okay, let's dive in. Whoa. All right, these are the creative energies that are happening this month. On January 2nd, Mars, the sacred masculine in the sky, returned to the retrograde point, which was at 28 degrees Aries, and is now moving direct. This will become significant when we get into our sacred masculine class on Saturday. These two items are highlighted in yellow because they are relevant to what's going on today. Starting on January 8th, we started to experience the tightening of the conjunction between Mercury, Saturn, and Jupiter from 29 degrees Capricorn to 5 degrees Aquarius. And we are experiencing that now. I think it was last night where it was at its tightest orb. And we'll be still experiencing that tomorrow. We'll talk about this a little bit later on. And just to know that when three luminary bodies come together in the sky like that, it's not a frequent occurrence. So this is something to really take note of, particularly because we just had that major event on the solstice where Saturn and Jupiter were conjunct at 0 degrees of Aquarius. And also because that event was an event that hasn't happened in 800 years. And so what we see now is that Mercury, the cosmic messenger, is coming in and meeting up with them and sharing with this collective consciousness of humanity the message that Saturn and Jupiter have to say about that partnership and what they are seeding for humanity. Today, of course, is the Gemini Morning Star seventh gate activation, which is the root chakra. On January 13th, in 2 days, we're going to have the new moon in Capricorn. 2 days later than that, Uranus stations direct. Now, this again is a huge event for us because if we go back to the second gate activation, the second gate of the descent, this is when Uranus stationed retrograde. And in our personal sessions at that gate, we didn't talk about it in the class. We did talk about the vision questing that Uranus was beginning at that time, and that vision quest would take us up till now. Here we are in January now, these months later. And that then Uranus will start to go forward. And we said that what's important about that vision quest period is that Uranus is moving back over a terrain in your chart to pick up for you any of the tools that you have forgotten about, have given away, tools that you can reclaim and put back into your medicine pouch in order to move forward from this point forward in terms of the liberation opportunities that Uranus is providing for us while he's in Taurus. So this is a huge event that's happening this month. On the 21st, we will have the second labor of Mars. This is very much a part of the sacred masculine class. And those labors are indicated by when the moon and Mars come together as a conjunction. On the 25th, this is a huge event. Look at these slow moving, potent energies that are starting to turn around now and starting to move forward. And so we're starting to be able to have all of that alchemical work that we've been doing within us come out from that inner space and be able to start to show up now in our outer landscape. So Pluto returning to its retrograde point and moving forward from there is significant. We will have a full moon in Leo at the end of the month. And then on the very last day of this month, Mercury will station retrograde. So there's a lot going on in the sky. And believe me, you are going to feel it, particularly on top of this root chakra activation, because the root chakra is a very vulnerable space. This is where we can feel safe and secure, which we'll talk about more, or we can feel really vulnerable and at risk. So getting yourself attuned with this root chakra activation is going to support you in dealing with these other energies that are happening this month. Okay, so here's what's going on in the heavens. We see this here. This is the chart that we've been dealing with. through the entire descent journey. We can see now what's happening this month. We've added Mercury because Mercury will start to retrograde at the end of this month. We see here that Uranus is going to be stationing direct on the 15th and will be returning to its retrograde point in May. So you can see, because these are slow moving planets, how very long this process is, and what an impact these potent energies have on us over that 5-month journey. The sacred masculine this month returning to its retrograde point. So this is what these energies that we've been dealing with September, and then Pluto. Look at this, almost a full year. So from April of 20 to January of 21, what we're talking about 9 months there, 9 months that Pluto has been really, slowed down, pulling us in, calling us into that inner alchemy of death and rebirth. Anything within us that is no longer supporting our expansion has been dissolving within us, so that it can then be regenerated and rebirthed. So here again, we have the new moon and the full moon that we talked about on the previous page. Okay, so let's look at this 6th gate activation closure. As I mentioned previously to Gary today when we were chatting, this is important for Carrie to understand. You have several opportunities through the course of the month to integrate the energies of the gate activation. We do that at the group session. We do that in your personal session. And then at the next month's class, we kind of bring that full circle to complete that circle and do that then before moving on. So what we're looking at here is any of the solar plexus chakra wounds. You know them maybe by the name of the shadow, which is a Carl Jung term. In our priestess work, we call them demons. Anything where the light has not been able to reach those spaces within you. And they start showing up for you, the ones that are ready to be acknowledged and be integrated within you at these activations. So we're looking at anything that was coming up, seeking your attention and asking for your acknowledgement. And these are just some ideas, some jumping off places of what those demons related to the 6th chakra could be about. So it may be all the ways that your creativity is unable to flow, the ways that you are not open to intimacy, the ways you are unable to enjoy the pleasures of life, the ways in which you are unable to be flexible in your life, and any ways that you may be being sexually manipulated or were sexually manipulated in the past and are now coming up to be healed and integrated. So who would like to start first to speak about anything that they're aware of that came up for them? I know Gary and Carrie weren't in the actual class, but whether you're consciously engaged with this process or not, it is happening for everyone on the planet. And so, maybe Maureen can go first to give the two of you some space to think about this past month and how you may have experienced some of this. So, Maureen, what has been coming up for you?
Well, it's been a journey with my husband, in that we are very, very different people now. Been married 50 years, and I've gone in one direction, and he hasn't, and he doesn't understand at all my beliefs, and because politics are so so important right now. I've been following what's going on, and that has caused me to be very, very tense. And it's caused him also to be very, very tense, even though we hold very different ideas. So I would say that I need to find, see, this is my home, this is my sanctuary, this is where I come to be whole after a difficult time. And my home is not harmonious right now. So I have truly been working on the flow and intimacy and pleasures, trying to be flexible, all of these things. Well, not the sexual manipulation, that's not a part of my experience, but the others are very much in terms of my relationship. And so it's been a very, very difficult time. And my daughter lives with us too. She's an adult. And so there's a lot of tension between the three of us because we're very different people. And that's what I've been finding to be true with me. And I'm working with that and continue to work with that. It's been a part of my experience on the descent all the way down. And so that's it for me. Very, very strong energies.
Yes. And, you know, having the awareness that these areas have been working within you. Is there any one in particular that seemed to kind of rise to the surface that would like to be acknowledged?
Well, I think there's very little flexibility here in my home. I'm not particularly flexible, although I have tried to understand where my husband is coming from, and my daughter also. They're very different issues, but that I would say flexibility is the number one issue in my life right now, as far as these wounds go. And so I am trying to work with that. I don't know. I always thought I was a very flexible person, but actually I was just a hidden person living two different lines of thinking, you know, one that made my home more harmonious, and the other trying to be more of my own person. And it didn't work. It just didn't. It won't in anybody's life, I don't think. And that was even true before I was married with parents. So I'd say flexibility is a real issue with me. Yeah.
Wow, that's huge. That is a huge piece.
Yeah, it's one I didn't expect to come up at all.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. And with us being Capricorn sun signs, you know, that Capricorn goat needs to have the flexibility to be able to scale the mountain, keep its balance. That's a huge piece that's come up for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. Well done, you. Excellent. Excellent. So, Carrie or Gary, do you require a little more time, or is there anything that you'd like to go ahead and speak around? Because we can have Leela go first if you like.
It's up to you.
I'm going to wait a little longer.
Because I'm waiting.
You're waiting.
Okay, Leela.
Well, then tell you what, I'll go. So there's a break before Gary goes. How's that sound, Leela?
Okay, okay.
Okay,
Whatever.
there is some stuff I can share in this space. I need to share, Gary knows this, and Sophia Mona Lisa knows this, but the rest of you should probably know I had a hysterectomy end of October, right before my 50th birthday. So I'm going through some major changes, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And so my healing in that process it's happening. And so my understanding is this is the sacral, is the sixth gate the sacral, or do I
It
need?
is, and I'm just looking at this, and I didn't update that. So I mean, I was just having that recognition as you were saying that. So let me go ahead and continue, and let me go ahead and
Sure.
and correct that here. And I
Sure.
apologize for that.
Well, the reason why I identified it as sacral is because it's very, very specific to this
Yes.
past month's issues.
Exactly.
And it actually became very specific this month. And I had a moment where I had one of my deepest fears come to me. I had a moment, and I had every reason to have this moment. It was not irrational at all that I had this moment, and I needed to have this moment. But I had a moment where I was afraid that I would no longer have a vagina, ladies. I had a moment where I thought that my physical intimacy would be forever changed in a way that was unacceptable to me. And I'm in this new relationship. So it meant my fear wasn't just what it meant in terms of my own perception of self, which we can imagine, but also what does this mean to this very important relationship that I'm encountering, and the value that it has to me, and what does that mean to us? Because we had made promises and commitments to each other, and so in honoring my commitment to him, I was in this place of, oh my gosh, I may not be able to do this because of reasons beyond my control. And so a couple things happened. Some of it was good, some of it maybe not so good. I think most of it was good. But I retreated into self, which kind of worked because it was good timing for us to kind of part and do some personal work. And I went into the personal work space, and I worked through what that would mean to me. I worked through being okay because I had 2 days to wait to go to the doctor before I would get the confirmation that I was going to be okay. But in that 2-day space, I had to come to the point where I could handle whatever truth I was given in that appointment. And that meant that I had to resolve my sense of self, my sense of value, my sense of standing in the world as a woman, and also a game plan in terms of what I was going to do with my relationship with Gary. Now, it was positive in that I came through it and I was ready and I was strong and I felt prepared for the worst truth, and that would not change the value of my existence. It would just alter it, that I would overcome, that I would find meaning in my life, and that it would be of value to me and to others. There is a horse, just so you know. So there was that piece, but then there was this piece where I shut him out. And I shut him out basically because I needed to make these decisions on my own. And that I think is okay, given where we're at in our relationship and given the crisis, the internal female crisis that this caused for me. But it also forces me to reflect on where is that line, and being fair to Gary in terms of not removing his power from our relationship.
This I can hardly even find words to talk about how it was almost an existential crisis in terms of claiming the potency of your feminine power, your feminine creativity, and recognizing that your identity as a being was not being undermined, that the connection, the intimate connection between you and your inner feminine was being forged even stronger and deeper because of it. is that making sense to you?
Yes. I mean, it turned out to be an extremely empowering experience that I went through, but I had to be disempowered before I could re-empower myself. And this all happened in my own mind because nothing actually happened. But the challenge was there. The crisis was, it was emotional. I'm a Scorpio. It was emotional. And it was very present and real, even though it wasn't. So I worked through it. So yeah, and it was profound. I found my value, which was important because I have been sexually manipulated in the past. And I have been convinced, like most women, that my value is in my ability to please a man. And so, yeah, I mean, it's huge in terms of this acceptance that that is not fact and that my value is not based on that.
Right.
What I agree to in my relationships is a different contract altogether, though. And
Right.
that was a different space to navigate.
Yeah. And so you really dove into the depths of reclaiming your feminine power. Woo.
Yeah, it's been heavy.
Well, you know, Maureen and I have a Scorpio Venus overtone. Maureen has a Scorpio ascendant. Leela was born in the Inanna underworld, which is total Scorpio energies. We know. You're speaking to the choir. We understand. We hear you.
Thank you.
Wow. Well done, you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Whew. Leela, what would you like to share around this?
Oh, goodness. I feel that yeah, we just had our last personal session, so I feel like I already cleared it all. So
Right.
what's left?
Right.
Yeah, so much about flexibility has been huge for me, and all the ways that I've thought that I was flexible and realized that there was still quite a bit of rigidity in my mental process, as well as in my view of life. And it almost comes down to this place of control, for safety is what it really feel is this place that if I control what's happening in my, not just my external, but like what's really close to me, then I'm safe. Then I'm going to be okay. And so I've been really seeing a lot of those sort of tendencies that have been coming up and being open to, yeah, just finding my own inner safety within, my own place of being comfortable with the unknown. I mean, that's so much of the lessons of 2020 for me and so many of us, is this place of adaptability, of this place of resilience, this place of being, surrender. Like there's this place of, when I tune into the sacral chakra, so much of it is that water element, right? It's like, what does that feel to allow, to be receptive, to trust my intuition, to know that all the answers are within me. And so there's been a drawing inward that's been really potent for me. And yeah, there's like a deep listening that comes from listening to my womb, comes from like that inner wisdom that is that creative life force that lives within me.
Right.
And yeah.
Right, absolutely. And what's so beautiful is that all of these words that you were using to describe that, these are all the words of the yin energy. Yin energy is not about control at all. But all of the beautiful words that you use, the adaptability, the receptive mode, that, all of that is the energy of the sacred feminine, that yin energy, that energy that the sacral chakra is the sovereign space for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's that sovereign piece has been so huge, and I know I've mentioned it many times in our personal sessions, and it's come up a lot, and that's been this path. And it's, yeah, it's this, it's like that moving through the solar plexus into the sacral, and really cutting the cords of the energies of the leaking of personal power and things. And here there's that connection to the sexual energy, but also the ways that I've noticed how I can leak to please others, to want to make sure others are okay. And so it's like this coming back into my own sovereignty, creating, it's like I had this aversion to creating boundaries for so long because I felt that it was shutting people out. But yet I'm realizing what it is doing is it's allowing people to meet me in a way that is really authentic. And it's also that people are, it's saying what's I'm not available for. It's saying what is not okay for me. And there's been a huge shift because I'm finding that I'm not attracting people that are wanting to drain my energy because my boundaries are very strong. And that's been a huge thing. And then there's like a deepening, and that's so much of it is that seeing where I can create the structure in my life that will allow for the flow, because being in the flow is my natural state. That's where the magic happens.
Exactly. That's really spectacular, Leela. Wow. Very beautiful.
Yeah, I feel this was a really deep one.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. And it's a deep one for men because, the sacral chakra that is the sovereign seat of the sacred feminine is a womb space. They may not have all of the physical reproductive organs that we have in that space, but they have that creative womb space within them as well. And so, how are you experiencing that, Gary? What's come up for you around this space of the yin energy within you?
It's a good question because I've been bouncing back and forth all the way from just a few months ago all the way back to my childhood.
Can you come closer to your microphone so we can hear you, sweetheart?
Are you not hearing me very well?
Yeah,
Do I need to project better?
there you go.
Turned up as high as it's auto adjusting to you. So, I mean, I can try.
Oh, no, no worries.
Okay.
I have a voice, but
Yeah.
I don't want to blast everybody.
Well, I will if I change the settings. So
I know.
project.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I'm kind of new at looking at some of my responses. I've been made aware that typically a lot of the past relationships have been married 2 times, and both marriages were narcissistic marriages or relationships where I voluntarily gave my power away. And it seems like I've been delving back into my childhood where I would pretty much be the pleaser of the family. And so this is kind of a new area that I'm starting to look at. And whenever I get into a situation where I get what do you call a trigger, where I get a trigger, a lot of that just kind of shorts out. And yeah, I just I become very my function does I don't function well. So I'm working on figuring out where, not just where the triggers are, but what creates them and where it started. And so this is new for me, and I look forward to having the personal chat with you. Maybe we can get into a little bit deeper as to where this, where I might be going into this. Because when one of the triggers happens, it's scary. It really is, and I'll admit that. That's I want to go. I want to see what it is, but sometimes I try to avoid it because I don't. So I have a feeling I know what it is. I get little twinges, but you know, that's just kind of like where I'm at now.
You know, thank you for sharing that. I know most men have a really challenging time to be able to authentically verbalize any kind of emotional response. And for you to have the awareness heightening to recognize that in this space, this sacral chakra space, there is this tendency to be the pleaser, because that way of being is mostly identified in our society with women, because it's a yin energy. And so the fact that this is coming into your awareness as we've had this sacral chakra activation is, you know, a phenomenal awareness heightening for you. And to be able to have enough balance within your sacred, inner sacred masculine and your inner sacred feminine to be able to give a voice to that and acknowledge that is absolutely spectacular. So thank you. Thank you very much. And yes, in your personal session, I have a full expectation that you will receive more clarity around that for you.
Okay, good.
So how is everybody feeling in terms of, you know, a completion around integrating the sacral chakra wounds that were coming into your awareness over the past month? Or is anybody requiring just a little more opportunity to speak to that? How about a thumbs up, because I'm not a mind reader?
Oh, yeah, you were good.
Thank you. I mean, I have a lot of talents. That's not one.
Oh, you didn't hear me nodding. Sorry.
I don't hear you nodding. Exactly. That's a great way to put it. Okay. Well, that was definitely a powerful activation for us specifically, and, you know, for humanity as a whole. So that's wonderful. So let's move on here. Take a look at the goddess Juno, the goddess of sacred partnership. And here we are now at this root chakra. And just to kind of show this to Gary and Carrie, because they probably haven't seen this yet. They may have, but, you know, these are all the ways at each of the gates that we've moved through in this descent journey that Juno has been working with us. And what I did to explain this kind of color coding that I did is, you can see by the colors where an energy is showing up over and over and over again. And so, for instance, look at how many times the actual gate activation, and the gate activation is represented by the conjunction between the moon and Venus in the sky. Look at this. Already, now this is the third time that she's been intimately involved with the gate activation, and she will be again next month. This is huge. And so you can kind of see by the color coding how certain specific energies have been coming up again and again and working with Juno as we've been going through the descent journey. And here, look at all of the ways that she is engaging with us at this month's activation. I mean, this is huge, really huge. So bringing that piece of awareness to you knowing that, you know, she is working with us to help us establish this sacred partnership within us, with our own inner feminine. And I think that what you spoke to, Carrie, is really a manifestation of what this goddess has been helping you to bring into balance through this descent journey, even though you were not conscious of it. Really, formalizing is not the right word. Strengthening this sacred partnership with your inner feminine, as she is doing with all of us. So let's talk about the gate of manifestation, which is this 7th gate activation. And of course, this gate of manifestation relates back to the myth of Inanna. As she's descending into the underworld, she passes through numerous gates, and at each gate, she's asked to remove one of her royal vestments. And when she reaches this 7th gate, the gate of manifestation, she is asked to remove her royal robe. Now, what's interesting about the royal robe is, I know in our current culture, there are a lot of connotations about what a robe is. And I know for a lot of people, that connotation would be like a royal cloak. But in French, une robe means a dress. And so this image over here is a really beautiful image of what a royal robe is. Yes, there's a train that we recognize as a part of that royal robe, but it's more of a dress than it is a cloak. Okay? Now, the royal robe is also known as her garment of ladyship. And when she loses her royal robe, when she surrenders that, it is symbolizing the surrender of her life force. Remember that kundalini is coiled right there at the base of your spine, at the root chakra. That's where that life force, that snake image that we see, is right there. And so in many traditions, the robe represents our connection to the spiritual world and even our spiritual self, so that there is a synonymous recognition of removing the royal robe and cutting that silver cord that we've taught, that people talk about when they're astral traveling. They see this silver cord that keeps their astral body connected to their physical body. And so, you know, when that happens, of course, then when that cord is cut, then your spirit, your soul leaves your body. The body is then dead, right? That's what happens when you pass over. So, you know, that it is that life force that maintains your physical body's aliveness. And I love this quote about the silver cord. Is how we integrate the energy between our ethereal bodies and our physical body. So that's really what the removing of this particular royal vestment is related to. That kundalini energy, that shakti. You're moving into the underworld. We know that the underworld, again, relates to the space where it is the space of the dead. And that's what happens when she gets into that underworld. And on an underworld phase, you know, she dies and she's hanging on the hook for 3 days, dead. So this is going to be a huge activation in terms of really feeling yourself go through a kind of a spiritual death as this robe comes off of us, and feeling this disconnection from our life force energy. Maureen, what would you like to share around this?
I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry. I
It's
can't.
okay. It's okay.
I'm kind of split today. My focus is split. I need to bring it back.
Okay. So yeah, as you're doing that, if you can kind of allow yourself to dive into that Shakti energy, that Kundalini energy, and feeling within yourself a disconnection from it as this royal robe is surrendered. What kind of feelings may be coming up around that disconnection?
I expect to be feeling very insecure.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
one
I think
significant
I'm
manifestation.
afraid.
Yes.
Exposed,
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable.
Yes.
Fear.
Maureen's word of being, feeling afraid is huge.
Yeah, fear.
Yeah, fear. Fear. And so it's really important to understand as we are being activated today that those feelings may show up. And when they do, that you allow the space for them to be present with you, because they are sharing wisdom with you in terms of spaces within yourself that are ready for healing, ready for you to allow light to come into them. So acknowledging them and allowing them the space that they require is going to be a huge part of this next month. And using Gary's previous word, feeling triggered and not understanding why you're feeling triggered. And it's okay. It's okay if you don't understand why. Know that it's a part of the process and just allow it. The greatest way that you can empower yourself is by not judging it, by being kind and compassionate with yourself as it's happening. Okay, let's look at this root chakra. And what is that all about? So the root chakra is the foundation of our body, and it does support the other 6 chakras that we have already descended through. And when our foundation is strong, we feel safe, secure, and grounded. And when this chakra is balanced, you will feel relaxed, you will feel stable, you'll feel calm, anchored in your reality. You will feel confident and sure of yourself to explore and try new things. And you can actually gain financial freedom by being really grounded and safe and secure in this space. It helps improve your ability to practice self-preservation. This is where that Maslow hierarchy comes in, right? You've got to have your basic needs, your home, your food, your water, whatever those basic needs are that you require to feel safe and secure. And when it's balanced, you have a lot of energy and vitality to meet your day-to-day tasks, to move from one day to the next in your life. And when this chakra is unbalanced, you will experience health problems in the lower part of your body. And so people with lower back pain and other health problems associated with the organs that are in that lower part of your body, things can come up around there. And when it's balanced, then those health issues can be resolved. And all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I'm not dealing with that anymore. With this root chakra, it is important to connect with the earth. And you can do that by spending a lot of quality time in nature. You can hike, you can garden, you can meditate, you can dance, whatever you do out in nature. Sometimes it's just enough to go outside barefoot and put your feet on the grass. If you have a space where there's no grass, you know, kids love digging their toes into the mud. You know, they love to lay on the grass and watch the clouds go by. These are very natural, playful ways that children instinctively stay grounded to the earth. And these are important because as these issues, the emotional issues that we just discussed, start to arise for you, these are the ways that you can nurture yourself and create safe space for yourself by just going outside maybe and hugging a tree or putting your back up against a tree or laying in the grass, you know, whatever it is. So keep these shamanic tools, shamanic medicine in your mind so that as soon as you start feeling, you know, the fear, the disconnection, the vulnerability come up, you can go out into that space and reground yourself and recenter yourself. And so you're not pushing anything away. You're allowing it and you're supporting yourself in that allowance. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Maureen, is there anything else you'd like to add around the root chakra and any other shamanic medicine tools to assist? Maureen has this gift, it's in her chart, where because her Mercury is in Capricorn, she has this innate gift of being able to communicate with the earth and to share communication from the earth. And she does a lot of work with crystals. I don't know if you guys have worked with crystals and stones, but Maureen has a lot of wisdom in this area. So is there anything around that, Maureen, that you'd like to share?
I wish I could, but I just feel totally not connected today. I'm
Okay.
not rooted, I'm not grounded. Yeah, lots going on, and I'm having trouble, a little trouble focusing and trying to monitor what's happening and with me. I'm sorry, I'm not very.
Nothing to apologize for. No, thank you for your honesty and sharing that. I appreciate it. And I know, you know, in many ways, a lot of people are feeling that way right now. And especially because today is the root chakra activation. This is the gate activation today. So there's no surprise here. So, and nothing to apologize for. Just allow it, be with it.
We have someone assisting us.
There you go. We have horse medicine.
Oh, yeah.
Horse
That's
medicine
wonderful.
present to.
We got the butt. I can't. I could change that, but I don't think I want to, or the head will come
He'll
in
come
and start
inside the
pestering.
room.
He has joined us though. He came for this. He was not there. He has come for this. So he was
Yes,
here supporting us. He's been making his. If you don't mind, I find them grounding. If you like, them, I will keep it muted.
absolutely, absolutely. And I'm going to pause for a moment because I'm going to bring something into the conversation. So let me pause this. Hold on a second. Okay, because, and what is your horse's name again?
Sun Tzu.
That's right. And is it a he or a she?
It's a he.
Wow, more sacred masculine energy to support us in this very vulnerable space. These are actually a set of cards, but what I want to point to is this, the woman who made these cards, her name is Linda. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. It's Kohanov. She has written numerous books on horse medicine. And as a child, I had a deep, deep connection with horses. Every Christmas, I was convinced that Santa was going to bring me a horse. And every Christmas, when my horse didn't show up, I was disappointed. And my bedroom walls were covered in horse posters. And I read every book there was about horses. And to this day, if there's a horse movie, it just takes me to unimaginable heights.
Me
But the
too.
book-
So for my 46th birthday, I bought myself one.
Well, there you go.
That's when it manifested. It took 46 years.
There you go. This woman is a flipping genius when it comes to horse medicine. And so I highly recommend her books. I read everything I could get my hands on from her. These are her cards. Let me show you the cards. They are just beautiful. If I can get this box open. So I don't know if you can see these.
Oh, wow.
I mean, these cards are just gorgeous. And I will tell you, I had trouble finding this set. When I first read that she had done these, I said to myself, I've got to get that. And I did have a little trouble finding them.
Wow.
And they come with this spectacular, let me show you,
I think you
book.
hit your
tells you-
mouse or something. Oh, wow. Look at that. So it helps. That's the one that goes with the cards.
That goes with the cards. And so because your horse has shown up for us, whoops, sorry, I moved all the slides. There we go. I thought I'd take the opportunity to share with you that this is another tool. This is some shamanic medicine that you can engage with over this next month that can assist you through the integration of this activation. Okay. So here are the seventh gate activation aspects. Now, in the beginning, when we first started these classes, and you'll see those when you go back and look at them, for each one of the luminary bodies, I would put the astrological keywords for their energies in the slides. And you'll see those as you go back to those early classes. It takes a lot of time. And after about the third or fourth class, I made the decision, because we talk so much about that in the personal sessions, to not include that. And I'm working on a compendium with all of those keywords that I'm going to put on the resource page. In the meantime, though, you know, you can see the luminary body names here. You can go back to those previous classes and look at the slides and pull out the keywords so that you can connect with them. Also, in terms of these astrological aspects, because you don't have to have any astrology knowledge, I've defined these major astrological aspects so that you can understand what those energies feel like and the opportunities that they're allowing us when we engage with them. Okay. Let's see here. Each of these, this information in the parentheses, this is telling you where on the astrological wheel these luminary bodies are located. So the numbers are the degrees, and we know that each astrological sign has from 0 to 29 degrees. And this is the abbreviation of the astrological sign. So Capricorn, Taurus, Aquarius, Pisces, Leo, Sagittarius, Virgo, Gemini, Aries, these will become second nature to you. So because this is your first class, I just kind of wanted to give you a boost up and let you understand what you're seeing here and why, if you've looked at any of the other classes, that information is not on here right now. So Venus moon conjunction, that aspect in the sky each month tells us when and where the gate activation is. And as I mentioned, at this gate, we have a stellium. So the Venus and moon are conjunct Quawar. Quawar is a Greek creator god that dances and sings realities into being. Ishion. Ishion is the unforgivable wound that as we evolve gets transfigured into our sacred gift. And there's Sekhmet. Remember I said we're doing the invocation for Sekhmet, the goddess of equity and atonement, because she is a part of this Gates stellium. Now this Gate stellium, which is right here, see them right here? All of that together from 0 to 5 degrees, Venus and the moon at 4 degrees. So this stellium in Capricorn, this is the glyph for Capricorn, is in what's called a trine, a 120-degree aspect to these 3 luminary bodies in Taurus. Anytime you have a trine, it's an elemental match, earth energy to earth energy, right? You cannot have a trine between an earth energy and any other element like fire, water, or air. Okay, it's a 120-degree aspect. And where they're the energies that they're trining to, this is Mars, the sacred masculine, Uranus, that's in retrograde still today, but later this month will station direct. And this glyph here is Black Moon Lilith. So again, the keywords for these energies you'll see in the previous class slides, and I am working on that compendium. Okay, in shamanic astrology, we have these relationship paths that we work with and talk about. And so, you know, the astrological wheel is 360 degrees divided into 12 astrological signs. At 180 degrees across from each other, you have pairs of astrological signs. So for instance, in this instance, Leo opposite or 180 degrees across the sky from Aquarius, that's a pair. So you have 6 of these axes, 6 of these pathways that are paired energies. And each one of those pathways is a type of relationship path. So at this activation, the path that's being activated for us between this Leo Aquarius opposition is the mastery path of relationship equality. Again, in the previous classes, I was putting more detail about these paths in here. One of the resources that I'm making to put up on the resource page is what each of these pathways are and what they're related to. With the mastery path of relationship equality, what's happening here is you understand that you are a master. And as you meet people in your life, you are meeting them as the master that they are. There's none of this hierarchical stuff from patriarchy where, you know, I'm a CEO and you're the janitor, and so I'm, you know, better than you, right? Or I'm a man and you're a woman, so I'm better than you. You know, none of this judgment about somebody, I have more money than you, and so I'm better than you, right? None of that stuff is going on. We know that every human being as an embodiment of source is as valuable as everyone else, and therefore we meet each other as equals and we engage with them as equals, and we value and identify their unique contribution in the same way that they see us as an equal and value our unique contribution. And in fact, this is the dynamic of the Sanskrit word namaste. That's the essence of this mastery path of relationship equality. And that is being activated at this gate with Asmodeus and Medusa. Now, Medusa is all about the patriarchal fears that paralyze you. Asmodeus is a daimon. Daimons are spiritual beings that are called demigods. And what they do, kind of like the elemental realm where you have, or the angelic realm, where they are supporting you and assisting you. Asmodeus as a daimon, the role that he plays for us is he's showing us where are all of those shadow pieces, the demons within us, the dark spaces within us that are ready to have the light come in. He helps us with that process. So they're standing across the sky from this Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury conjunction, this huge conjunction that's happening now. Mercury being the cosmic messenger. Jupiter is the cosmic guru. Saturn, the goddess of sovereignty. And as I said earlier, Mercury is sharing with us the cosmic message that Saturn and Jupiter want us to know about the work that they are doing together that was seated at that great conjunction on the winter solstice in these Aquarian energies that has to do about the vision that will be birthed through Saturn, who is the cosmic gatekeeper. All of the outer energies must come through her to be made manifest on the earth, that has to do with the ancient elder wisdom, because they just passed through Capricorn, for how we live and sovereignty, and how we create in a way that honors the next 7 generations. And so Mercury is sharing their vision for how that can look and be and manifest with us. And of course, Jupiter, takes that vision and amplifies it and expands it for us. The other relationship path that's being activated during this gate is this mastery path of the helpmate. And this is the path where we have Virgo on one side of the chart, 180 degrees opposite it, making that axis is Pisces. And this pathway is the mastery path of the helpmate. And this mastery path has to do with working or being in relationship with someone. And sometimes it's not always like a person. Sometimes it's your inner masculine or your inner feminine. Sometimes it's a luminary body, so it can show up in different ways. But, having a relationship with someone who is as equally dedicated to their sacred work as you are to yours. Okay. And in so doing, supports you in your sacred work as well, because of that dedication to sacred work. And so that's happening with Orcus. Orcus is the sacred vow, and the goddess Vesta. She's that goddess of passion, that mission. People say, I know I have a mission, but I don't know what it is. Well, what's driving that sense of that I've got a purpose, but what is it? That's that Vesta energy, that Kundalini energy that fuels that passion and inspires you and pushes you forward. So your sacred vow, and this can change from year to year as you're on another evolutionary path, okay? And standing across the sky from Ceres the Earth Mother Goddess, and Neptune, who is your pipeline to source, pipeline to your inner being, who is an extension to source. So that's going on. We have what I'm calling a loose fire trine, and you'll see that. First of all, here's that mastery path of relationship equality. Oh, let me point out, see how everything's color coded. I'm big on color coding. So you can see everything here is in red. Where do you find it on the chart? You'll look for the red stuff, okay? Yellow, the mastery path of relationship. Well, here it is. And you can see the luminary bodies. This path here, the path of the helpmate in blue. You see that's in blue. And now this loose fire trine that you see, a trine has to do, again, as I said, 120 degrees aspect, and it's always in the same element. So when you have a grand trine, right, a loose, I should just said grand fire trine, and let's go ahead and, while I'm here, fix that. Grand fire trine. That means that, hold on a second. As you can see here, it shows up where it looks like a triangle because you have a flow of energy between all three of the fire elemental signs. And the reason I'm calling it loose is because, so we see up here, and this is the glyph for Aries. We've got Chiron, the cosmic shaman, standing next to Yeshua, the embodiment of Christ consciousness, at 5 degrees. Normally in a grand trine, each of the elements will be at about the same degree. So you're going to see, 5 here and 5 here. But we know that orbs, right, the window of between elements, so like this is at 5 degrees, here is at 2 degrees and 0 degrees. So that distance is called an orb. They're considered conjunct or working together within a 5 degree window. And so you can see here, 5 degrees, 0 and 2 degrees. Well, 2 degrees is 3 degrees from 5. So this is considered a trine. Well, 0 and 2 to 7, again, 5 degrees. 7 to 5, 2 degrees. And so while it's not 5, 5, and 5, which is what most people would call a grand trine, they are within that 5 degree orb, which is why I'm calling it a loose grand fire trine. Does that make sense? So you can see here, we've got Chiron and Yeshua, we've got Asmodeus and Medusa, and now over here, there she is. We had that slide about Goddess Juno, the goddess of sacred partnership. And this grand fire trine, if you go back to that first or second class where I do the definitions of the astrological astrological aspects, a grand trine is one of them. And the analogy that I use is like a 3-legged stool, right? If you kick one of the legs out, what happens? It topples over. And so this is a very supportive energy for everything that's happening here. And it's going to have the feeling or the influence of whatever the element is. So the fire element. The fire element is a very inspiring energy, inspired action, okay? And you can see here, because these are color-coded, you can see that not only are Asmodeus and Medusa being activated by the loose grand fire trine, but also this opposition. And so by putting these aspects on the trine, on the chart, you can see where there are focal points of energies coming through, okay? Because this area is being hit twice. So what that means is if something happens up here, well, it's kind of like a pinball machine, right? ding, 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 ding. So now this is being activated. Well, because this is being activated, now this and this are being activated. So you see how the energies flow together. And the analogy that I use for that is like painting with watercolors. You've got something over here in red and you got something over here in yellow, and now the paints start to blend together. So this is how these energies are interacting with each other. So we can see here how all of these aspects in the sky are working together with us at this activation. And the last one here is this another Earth trine between Vesta in Virgo and the Sun in Pluto in Capricorn. So here's Vesta, and I used Vesta up here too, didn't I? Somewhere. Oh, yeah. So what I should do is probably enlarge this blue circle to include Vesta, and then you see up here the Sun in Pluto and Capricorn. So in your personal sessions, what I will do is I will take these aspects, you know, what signs and degrees where they are located in the sky, and I lay them over your solar return chart so that you can see how those aspects are interfacing with your own personal evolutionary chart, which makes this gate activation that is impacting the entire collective consciousness of humanity on the global level, also uniquely impacting you on the personal level. So we're going from the personal, the transpersonal to the personal through those sessions, okay? Now, the shamanic medicine that we're gonna look at is related to Chiron. Chiron is the cosmic shaman, and where he's located and where he is influencing energies, there's shamanic medicine that he's offering to you to support you through this process. So we can see here, because he's a part of this loose fire trine, the shamanic medicine that he's giving us is related to Aries, related to Leo, and related to Sagittarius. So we see this here. These are the areas of shamanic medicine that are available to you and will be supporting you over this next month through this activation. So in Aries, the shamanic medicine has to do with self-love and personal identity. And the contemplative questions that you can ask yourself to tap into that medicine within you is, do I have the right to exist? And how do I exert that right? With Leo, the shamanic medicine has to do with speaking truth, honoring your creativity, and inspiring others' expressions. And so the question that you can use to contemplate and tap into that medicine within you is, how can I express myself spontaneously and creatively without feeling wounded or crushed? And then this next piece of medicine from Sagittarius has to do with spiritual meaning and purpose. And to be able to tap into that medicine for yourself, you can contemplate on, what is my truth and what do I believe? What has passionate meaning for me? So while this is the medicine that's available to you, we want to connect that medicine to that specific gate activation, the root chakra. How do we take this medicine and relate it to what the root chakra space is all about? So what I did, and I didn't do it in the last class because I felt like that the students that have been with me are at a point where they could do this for themselves. But this time I just felt inspired to go ahead and provide those contemplative prompts again. So I went ahead and did it because I felt like maybe I had given them too much rope, right? So I was kind of bringing it back in. So these are the questions that you can use, and they're not the only questions. These may be a jumping off point where when you're looking at this, all of a sudden, right, your inner being, your inner feminine says, what about this question related to my root chakra? Okay, so this is just a jumping off place to kind of prime the pump. You got to prime the pump to get the water flowing, right? These questions are priming the pump so that you can gain this wisdom from your inner feminine and your inner masculine, and from these luminary bodies that are in the sky working with this activation. So you can ask yourself, in what ways am I unsure of myself, which causes me to avoid exploring and trying new things? How may I be blocking my energy and vitality, which then impacts my ability to do, my daily tasks? There are people that get so triggered by these energies, they can't get out of bed, right? Or they manifest illnesses, and so they're sick and they can't, get to work. So, these are the kinds of things that we're looking into. In what ways do my wounded feelings undermine my ability to provide my own basic needs, right? If you can't get dressed and you can't brush your teeth and you can't get the garbage out to the curb, right? How are you taking care of yourself? Where in my daily life can I take the time, right? Taking the time, consciously engaging, and make the effort to consciously ground myself so that I can feel safe and secure. I'm feeling, out of sorts here. Let me take the time to go for a walk. Even it's just to the end of the block and back, right? Even if it's, let me just go lay down in the backyard. Where can you do that for yourself? People feel so busy that they feel like they don't have the time to do this for themselves. And if they take the time to do this for themselves, they will be much more empowered and much more effective when they come back to what it was they were spinning their wheels about and couldn't get done. Okay, so this will help you to tap into the root chakra demons that are showing up for you and engaging them with this shamanic medicine. So how is that? Are you understanding that? Is there anything coming up that you'd like to share around this?
It's interesting to me, that first one. In what ways am I unsure of myself, causing me to avoid exploring and trying new things? I'm just the opposite. I'm unsure of myself, which causes me to explore new things. That's just the way my thinking works. So I'm always jumping down rabbit holes. I mean, it's just part of the way I learn. I can't help it. Sometimes I have trouble getting out of them, but because I am unsure of what I think I know, I have to go there and study all these other things that other people might not think relevant at all. Just crazy stuff.
Right.
That's
And
the way it
Maureen,
works for me.
yeah, and that's a beautiful example of how these questions are just starting points, and how it is your sovereign responsibility to make it work for you, what is aligned with who you are. And so maybe the question for you is, at this root chakra demon, what do I need to know in order to get myself out of the paper bag, not fight myself in that paper bag, get myself out when I get into that space? That might be something that's specific for you. And so that's a beautiful example of how we can take these contemplative questions and make them our own. Yes, Carrie.
I would like to say something. Maureen, I have watched the last 3 classes in order to prepare for joining the course. And one of the things that stood out about you to me is your courage. And that actually stood out before you started talking about it, which you did in a prior session. So I was like, When you mentioned courage, it resonated with my understanding of you. And what I find interesting is that you've just described to me what I've been sensing from you, this courage, that even though you are unsure, you keep exploring and trying new things. So I would offer that maybe asking yourself how you can leverage that courage, this courage, in ways that you may not have been using it in your life prior.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Exactly. Thank you very much. I appreciate your insight.
Carrie, that's an excellent,
Beautiful.
excellent way of how we take these and make them our own. Thank you for that.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Maureen, because I'm so happy I got to watch this. I felt a little like a voyeur, but I'm grateful that I am able to come and actually give something after receiving so much from you over those 3 sessions.
Oh, I appreciate that so much. I really do. Thank you.
That's beautiful, Carrie. And let me just acknowledge that what you've tapped into is really an expression of Maureen's inner feminine. Her Venus is in Sagittarius. And so that's what she does.
Yes, I've done that right from the time I walked and talked. That's what I've done. It's never been not a part of me. And sometimes it separates me from others,
Mhm.
but it's okay. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Separating from others is something I struggle with. So that resonates with me. That's one of my deepest fears, is being set apart.
Yes, exactly. Right.
And
Mhm.
sometimes I'm afraid to share myself for fear that I'll be set apart.
Yes, I resonate. Oh, yes, that's very, very true with me. Yeah.
Well,
Made
and
high school really difficult.
Yeah.
what's interesting about that, Carrie, is that that's really speaking to these root chakra issues. And so when you go back and listen to this recording, you can use what you just shared to formulate some questions around those to dive into it. Beautiful. I love the way you guys engaged with this and made it really, really personal, because other people seeing this will be able to connect with that.
Yes.
Yeah, because chances are, if we're experiencing it, other people are too. What I found is very little is all that original in life, which has its safety net to it, knowing that we're all going through a very similar experience, and that nothing is so unique that we need to feel like a freak or odd, because it is part of the human experience.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's see where we are now. This is the cosmic dance. It's happening this year over 2021. We've talked about this conjunction. In February, we've got, look at this, another stellium, 7 planets clustered in the sign of Aquarius. Incredible. Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter are having a conjunction right about 13 degrees in Aquarius. And then this is a huge piece here, the 3 Saturn Uranus square events. This is huge. And in your personal sessions, we'll talk about this and the influence that it's having in terms of this Uranus energy that's radically liberating, and how you're embodying, through Taurus, embodying that. And, of course, Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. And so how you're embodying that so that it can manifest through you, right? So in February, we've got one of those squares. In June, we've got another one. And then Christmas Eve. So the influences of these squares are going to be like the overriding umbrella of the year, because these are slow moving planets. So even though the squares are happening on these days, the influence of those squares will be happening over months and in each time, it's kind of like, a snowball rolling down the hill. The snowball gets larger and larger and larger. So each time the power and the momentum of the influence becomes greater and greater. Okay. And then in July, we're having a Venus-Mars conjunction, the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine coming together in sacred union in Leo, and they do this every 2 years. The last time they did this, Maureen and I were in France on our Magdalene journey, and this happened in the Inanna underworld, and this happens very rarely, every 34 years. So that was spectacular. And just to bring some clarity to some of my abbreviations here, GE, Gemini, ES, evening star. The Venus as the evening star is the ascent journey, right? Venus as the morning star is the descent journey. She goes into the Inanna underworld, which will happen in next month. And then as the evening star, when she rises as evening star, she's going into the ascent journey before she goes into the metamorphic underworld, where she meets the sun. And that's the seed point for the next goddess archetype, which will happen next January on my birthday, January 8th. Maureen's birthday is the day after mine. And the Capricorn goddess will take the world stage. So these are the energies that we want to be aware of all year as we're doing work through the completion of this Gemini Venus, the rainbow goddess, the Venus synodic cycle, that 19-month cycle. So these are the vision questing opportunities that I'm providing for you. And the caveat is you can choose not to do any of this, and it's okay. Or you can do one, all of them, or a couple of them, whichever ones resonate with you. However you choose to engage with them. And should you choose to take any of these vision questing opportunities, then the group session where we come together is a really great forum for you to share what came up for you around this. So the first opportunity is looking at that stellium of the gate activation and, using the keywords, come up with some themes about what that could be for you. What does it mean when all of these energies are blending together? You can look at the loose fire trine and describe how you are being influenced by its shamanic medicine, right? Because remember, Chiron, the cosmic shaman, is a part of that fire trine. You have the shamanic medicine stuff there. How is that influencing you? And the other thing that you can do is you can look at the 0 to 5 degree area of Aquarius on your solar return chart. And I've given you two now. There's a chart for the sacred feminine. I wrote this wrong. That should say SF, not FM. I'll fix that. And your sacred masculine chart. And the reason they're different is because I work with different luminary bodies. Okay, that's why they're different. So look at that. Use the keywords and around Aquarius, Mercury, Saturn, and Jupiter, and find out, how is that conjunction of those luminary bodies, excuse me, pardon me. How is that conjunction specifically influencing you in terms of where it's showing up on your solar return chart? That might be a big reach for the two of you, so that's okay. But if you get anything, if you receive a download around it, it's as valid. So please don't dismiss anything, okay? Any questions about the Vision Quest opportunities?
No.
Okay, great. And then January 23rd is when we're going to have our next support group. And this is February classes, okay? Because this coming Saturday will be this month's Sacred Masculine class. But for February, our 8th gate activation class is going to be on February 8th, and our Sacred Masculine class will be on February 13th. So you can put those on your calendar. So, and before I go over the new program updates, are there any questions or any ahas that have come up for you through, because this is a huge body of information. It's going to have to kind of settle in and integrate and process. But if there's any questions or any ahas that came up, this is a great opportunity to give a voice to them. So when you use your voice to acknowledge, it helps me to move forward or to pause. So a thumbs up or a yes or no is good.
I'm good. You good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Good.
I'm good. I'm good.
Thank you. All right. So let's talk about what's new. As I've shared before, this program is an evolving program. So this is what I was inspired to recently. As a part of being subscribed to this mystery school, I am offering a free bonus, which is a solar return reading that has a $300 value. The caveat is you must have been subscribed for 3 months. And so it's January. This is your first month. If your birthday's in March, that's the 3rd month. You will get a free solar return reading. And these solar return readings are so important because they give you a foundation to work from in terms of using that solar return chart with the sacred feminine and with the sacred masculine. And so I was inspired to offer this now as a part of the Mystery School program.
Cool.
Okay, so Gary, you got something to look forward to. Because how many years has it been since we did your reading? Has it been a couple years?
It's been a few.
4 years?
Yeah. Well, she's good at
Four.
math. So I would go 3 or 4.
Yeah. So you're due for a solar return reading. So
Yeah,
that'll
yeah,
happen.
you did. Now you did the masculine and feminine chart that you sent to me, but that is not the reading.
No, the reading
Right.
is what I got.
Right.
That's the tool that we will use when we do your readings.
Okay.
And it was 2006. I'm not doing math. I looked at the date. 2000.
Okay. Now this is the next piece. Maureen is my Venus buddy. She's really a soul sister. We have the same sacred feminine in Sagittarius. We have the same overtone of our feminist Scorpio. We also have the same sacred masculine overtone in Cancer. So it's like we're soul sisters. So she's and we're both in the same priestess lineage. We're both high priestesses in the same lineage that descends from the Magdalene Mystery Schools and was founded by Nicole Christine. So, and we were in France together last September on that Magdalene journey. And so as high priestesses of this priestess lineage, as Scorpio overtone goddesses, we have been trained and we have an intimate connection and experience with the alchemical process, which is a 7-step process. And so what we have been working on for this Gemini synodic cycle is the integration of the alchemical process with the Venus synodic cycle And that's Maureen's passion. And she's really, in terms of working with alchemy, she's really taken the lead on that. And so what we have done recently is we have connected the 7 steps of the alchemical process with the phases of the Venus synodic cycle. And these are the 4 phases of that cycle. Right now, we're in this first phase. Next month, we're getting ready to go into the Inanna underworld. Before we were inspired to do this work together, we had worked with a fabulous woman also in our lineage who is really, you know, did the, what is the word I'm looking for? She did the foundational work. She broke the ground and was really the leader in terms of working with shamanic astrology, and especially with Venus as the sacred feminine and the Venus synodic cycle. And she continues to do that work. Kaylin Castell, through her organization, Venus Alchemy. And when they're doing this work, they take people through the morning star journey, and they take people through the evening star journey. And during the underworld phases, then the classes subside. And what Maureen and I discovered as we were connecting the alchemical steps with the Venus cycle is that these underworld phases connect with the last 2 steps of the alchemical process and are probably the most significant periods in the cycle when you require support going through the underworld. And so when we first started this, we were going to follow that example of not offering the monthly classes during the underworld phases. And we realized when we made this connection that we are going to continue to provide the monthly classes through these underworld phases. So this is a whole new piece that, while it wasn't spoken to outright, that I want to speak to now specifically as something that will be a part of our program and is unique in terms of our mystery school. We will be providing that support. We will be launching this new layer of integration between the alchemical process and the Venus synodic cycle with the next Venus cycle, when Capricorn, as the Capricorn goddess, comes on to the world stage. That's when we will be launching it. However, because Maureen is continuing to work with it through this cycle, however, we felt it was really important that we go ahead and provide the additional class support because of the significance of those last two steps of the alchemical process during those phases this year. So that's a program update as well. Is there anything about that, Maureen, that you'd like to speak to?
Yeah, I just think that is really critical part of the Venus journey. When she's in the underworld, that when I was in France, you know, we were in the underworld and Mars was also there, kind of a rare joining of the two in the underworld. And it was really potent. I mean, it was just, it manifested in spiritual ways, but it also manifested in very, very physical ways. See, like Sophia Mona Lisa was fighting illness all through that trip, and she just had to muster courage to get through it. And at the end, I fell down the stairs and I got a concussion when I was going out to the van to go to the airport, and that was horrible. And then when I got home, I found that one of the creditors we had, it was a car loan, had decided I was deceased. So all of a sudden my credit rating went to 0, which was how I figured out, or how I knew
That you were dead.
Holy crap.
I'm dead, so then that had to be, you don't know
Good
how.
news. You're not.
Yeah, don't listen to everybody
When you have to actually prove in the physical world that you're alive.
Belong here? Yeah,
Yeah.
I belong here. I'm here.
I'm here. Hello.
That's
It
incredible.
was an incredible experience, and fortunately, I had Sophia Mona Lisa to help me through that, and because we continued to correspond even though the trip was over, and we were Venus buddies. But I mean, it's just an incredible time. You just can't anticipate what's going to happen down there, and
Yeah, I would
uh,
Sure.
I'm kind of glad we're going to have each other to support during this time, and I'm looking forward very much to experiencing it with you, all of you,
Yes.
and how you feel about that and what happens, and sharing, and I will do the same, and it will be much more productive, I think, for all of us to be
Yes.
in contact during this time.
Absolutely. We could have, of course, we were not aware when we went to France that was what was going on. We discovered it after the fact. So that kind of, in that
Put it
2020 hindsight,
Yeah.
but we could have never survived that trip and that journey through the Inanna underworld, which the Inanna underworld is the death by intent. It is a death initiation, a death and rebirth initiation. We would have never survived it without each other. And while we are high priestesses in the same lineage, we had never met each other until that trip. And then we had gotten paired up as roommates. And I mean, talk about synchronicity.
Yeah.
We would have never survived it without each other. Never.
No, I think, like you said, I would be on the plane going home, after the first few days that were so difficult. And then it just kept getting harder and harder and harder. And I myself, I don't think I would have left, but I would have tuned out.
Yes.
I would have just shut down
Yes.
and not,
Missed opportunities.
yes, exactly. And so, it was an incredible journey, and I'm very grateful for it now. But at the time, it was just hard. Like Sophia Mona Lisa said, "My gosh, we're on the French Riviera. We should be skipping around in the water and having this wonderful time, and yet we were thoroughly, we were in the underworld, and it just it was a lot different than we had anticipated."
You went to France to suffer.
Exactly. We paid quite a bit of money just to go have a really hard time.
Absolutely. It was like being buried alive. And that is no exaggeration. It was like being buried alive.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, it's an incredible experience to go through that journey, and feel all of that. I've been in classes for Venus for, I think, the last 6 that Kaylin Castell had taught, and I'd never experienced underworld anywhere near that intense. Yeah.
Well, and then we had the added, effect of us having our Venus return on top
Yeah.
of it.
She was saying now or never.
Exactly.
She
Exactly.
said that to me. She said that to me last summer.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are very excited to offer this next really dimension of working with the Venus cycle through the alchemical process, and are excited to be able to launch that with the Capricorn goddess. You know, both of us have our sun signs in Capricorn. And, you know, Capricorn is the sign of the ancient elder, the grandmothers, and the tribal elders. So, you know, that's really the space that fuels us and moves us through the work that we do. So we're excited to offer that and have this be something that's really a unique part of being called to this mystery school.
Yeah.
Any questions about these program updates? Okay, I'm really, you know, it's an evolving program, and as I'm being inspired by source, it's showing up. The sacred masculine classes also was an evolving part of the program, inspired by source. It's time, and the inspiration was absolutely synchronistic with the start of the new sacred masculine archetype. You know, we weren't looking at that at all, and the inspiration came exactly when it was supposed to. So it's been really exciting to do this work.
I can see it's manifesting beautifully.
Yes, it is manifesting through us, and in large part because when we were in France, we were working within a Venus landscape temple, and Rennes Chateau is one of the points on that Venus landscape temple. And in a little village next to Rennes Chateau is Rennes-les-Bains. And in Rennes-les-Bains, there is a stone that they know is at least 5,000 years old or more, that is known as the seat of Isis. And we hiked up the mountain to the seat, and we all had an opportunity to sit on the seat. Well, the seat is actually a multi-dimensional portal.
Oh.
And when I sat on it, I experienced having this multi-dimensional activation. I was clearly aware that everybody else was having their own activation as well. And so this work is the manifestation of what transpired when we were at that portal at the seat of Isis.
Wow.
Anything you want to say about that, Maureen?
No, yeah, I had a very different experience than Sophia Mona Lisa, but when I can't recall. I mean, I don't. It's not in my consciousness. It's lower than that. You know, I'm not aware of what happened there, other than I felt like I wanted to float. I wanted to go up, and my head kept raising, and obviously I wasn't going to float, but that's what it felt like. I wanted to go up and meet something. But so far, and I am working on it, I have not been able to recover that information that was given to me at that point. Although I do have a very definite connection to Asmodeus. And I think possibly that was part of that for me. Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll see in the underworld.
Yes, we will.
What comes up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, how is everybody feeling about today's class for this activation? Are you feeling good, feeling complete? Is there anything else that anybody would like to share?
Not I.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good.
All right. Well, I'll get this posted to the library on our YouTube channel and on our resource page with the slides. And and with the links to the resources that I noted on each slide, what I would recommend, at least this month, let's see how things go. You may want to download all of this to your local computer, so that if there's anything that comes up where we don't have internet access, you have it available to you.
Okay.
And you may even want to go a step further and print out the slides, so that if power goes down, you've got the slides. Because even just gazing upon it,
Mhm.
you are receiving the energies of this activation, and having it there as a touchstone, like a talisman, can be supportive. And so just things that we can think of to get us through these uncertain times when, you know, internet might go down and power might go down.
Mhm. I'm with you.
All right, beloveds, thank you so much. And from the bottom of my heart, the phenomenal sharing that happened today is spectacular. Thank you so much. I really, really greatly appreciate each of you in that way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you at the group session.
Do.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.